Blimey lads, what a right mess we've got here with Brewpub Simulator. On paper, running a proper boozer and serving pints sounds like a right laugh, but this game has got problems galore. Reggie here asked for a review copy, thinking it'd be a perfect fit for the Cockney Gamer channel, but crikey, it's turned out to be a proper disaster. It's so bad, I'm struggling to find the words to describe just how nonsense this is. So go get yourself a cuppa and I'll tell you why this is one of the worst games I reviewed in 2023. When I started this channel, I promised to be straight with you and have a laugh together too. Now, even though I got this game for free, rest assured it ain't going to sway my final score. In fact, Reggie planned to do this review a while back, but a game-breaking bug stopped me dead in my tracks. Black screen and all, I couldn't get past the third day in the game. So I did the polite thing and let the developers know about the bug. I waited, thinking the release patches would sort it out, but you won't believe it, it's actually gotten worse. Brewpub Simulator starts with a little cutscene, and wouldn't you know it, like all them simulator games, you're some bloke who can barely tie his own shoelaces, but hey, you get the keys to a property anyway. Then this old geezer calls you up, acting like your saviour, guiding you through a mess, and of course before you can even pour a pint, you got to tidy up the place. Can't call it a simulator without a bit of cleaning now, can ya? The premise of this game is simple. You're running a boozer, a juicer, a bar, or whatever you want to call it, just so you can serve loads of beer to the punters, and outside giving off bad vibes to the customers is what looks like a homeless Shawn Michaels. He's there acting like he's dropping some wisdom on you, telling you how to put an empty glass on a tray. Thanks, Michael. Now, when I first laid my eyes on my boozer, I thought it had a bit of charm to it, cosy and all that. I gave it a quick paint job and it started looking like something decent. But the real kicker was when I realised I could give it a proper name. Now, back in the day, there was a juicer near me called the Cock Inn. Good times, but it was a proper walk from my home. So, in honour of that old boozer, I christened this one, How Far is the Cock Inn? Because it was a question I asked many times in my life. You wouldn't believe the shambles when it comes to arranging the furniture in my pub though. The bloody chairs and tables, they don't behave themselves, you see. They're like stubborn mules, snapping into place all wrong, and the next thing you know, there's a red outline telling you the customers can't even reach them. It's like they're playing a game of Twister or something. And don't get me started on the animations. Pint glasses floating out their hands and slamming onto the table like a bloody poltergeist. Legs getting torn to shreds by them damn chairs. Patrons giving each other the death stare like they're ready to start World War III over a pint. People walking in the middle of the bloody road like they're auditioning for The Walking Dead. And their faces, lads, they look like the human bug creature from Men in Black. It's like they don't even belong in their own bodies. Absolute bollocks, the lot of it is, and it's as if the animators were hired as free interns. But unbelievably, the animations continue to go downhill from there that you actually wonder if they are bugs. Bloody hell, the water physics in this game are like sharp metal pouring through taps. You'd think in a pub simulator pouring the perfect pint would be an art form, right? But nah, it's like a full-on blast poured through straight down at the speed of light, giving you full foam like there's no tomorrow. I've seen Sasha Grey give less head than these pints. And don't even get me started on the hose attaching to the kegs. It looks like it's possessed by the devil, shaking and trembling around like a maniac. Pouring a beer in this game is a laughable mess. I mean, in Dave the Diver, a game about a fat man in scuba gear opening a sushi restaurant, they simulate pouring a beer more accurately than this. Now, I don't mind a bit of complexity when it comes to making your own brew, adding hops, boiling water, mixing in yeast. It's all good stuff, and it's a game concept that I'm glad they added. But sometimes the ingredients are measured in millimetres, and yet the damn recipe asks you to pour it in grams. I mean, what the actual is going on here? It's like they want you to get a degree in quantum physics just to brew a bloody beer. And let's not even talk about the janky animations and lack of attention to detail. Nothing here animates well, my pedigree chums. It's just sort of transports itself rapidly, like it can't be bothered to do anything properly. The beer looks dull and flat, and the whole place is as stiff as Ron Jeremy watching a Megan Fox movie. What we have here is sheer laziness, my friends. No care, no attention, nothing. It's like they couldn't be asked to put in any effort, and it shows. And to top it all off, somehow, it gets even worse. Yes, it actually gets fucking worse. The rating system in this game is utter nonsense. I mean, Reggie poured the shittiest beer you can imagine, left it out for days on end, and I still got good ratings from customers. So I decided to pour 20 pints or so, and I just left it there for a week. Customers were happy as Larry, and even left me tips. Piss Lager seemed like a proper name for it, and that's what I served them daily. But that ain't the worst of it. Each day you get a little task to progress the story, right? Maybe brew your first beer, serve your first customers and the like. Well, in my case, it was to brew a lemon style beer. Sounds simple enough, but no. My bloody fermenter decided to take a dive through the floor every time I tried to place it down. I had to restart the day over and over again. And even when I finally managed to fill a keg with that piss lager, I tried to deliver it, and guess what? It fell through the bloody delivery lockers. Another restart. By this point, I was about ready to lose my shit on Johnny Two Shoes and give him a proper slap. I mean, I made it to day 8 in the game on 2 separate occasions, only for the same shit to keep happening. It's like the game was out to get me. The final straw came when I was asked to send off that piss lager to some charity, but the story objective, it got stuck. It kept asking me to wait for the fermentation process to end, even though I'd already done it and sent off the beer, and the bloody autosaves just made things worse, leaving me with no choice but to restart the entire game twice. Reggie was tearing his hair out. It's just mind-boggling that developers think it's okay to release a game in this state. I don't care if you're an indie developer or not. There's got to be a basic level of quality when you're asking for $18, especially as a non-early access release. So in a moment of madness, I thought I'd take a peek into the future of my pub. Despite having a wall inside, I decided to wander around the outside, and guess what? When I looked in from the outside window, the bloody wall disappears. Magic, right? It's like there's some sort of hidden extension that you can eventually build, and it's just not the pub. Even the kitchen has a little secret. Looking in from the outside, and boom, the wall vanishes again. Talk about mysterious. Now Reggie's got a hunch that this might be a glimpse of what the future holds. A beer garden maybe, or perhaps my own brewery where everything gets automated. Oh, the possibilities. But alas, it's just a tease, because this game's full of bugs that brought it crashing down like a house of cards. I can't even get past those early days to find out. I've seen early access titles with more polish than this. It's like developers forgot to check for bugs or just didn't give a toss, which is a bloody shame. This game had potential, but it's all gone to the dogs. Let's get to the nitty gritty of the graphics in the sorry excuse for a pub simulator. Now, I ain't expecting no masterpiece here, but bloody hell, even by simulator standards, this is piss lager poor. Starting with the kitchen, it looks like a room straight out of an asylum, bright as a bloody lighthouse with no shadows to be found. Even with the settings cranked up, the models look like they were drawn by a toddler, and when you're pouring beer into a bucket, it genuinely looks like piss. This liquid looks rigid and solid. Rigidity is the word of the day, mate, because everything here looks sharp and deadly. One wrong step and you'll be flat in your face with your head cracked open, praying that your health insurance will cover you. Now, the bar tap is the only thing that doesn't make me want to chuck the whole game in the rubbish bin, but even then, there's this horrid white glow over your beer logo, making it a right challenge to read the tap. And don't get me started on the beer tray. It clips through the bar like it's on a mission to destroy everything in its path. And the glasses constantly fall into the ground as you try and move them around and do simple tasks. It's either like the whole place is cursed, or you suddenly got diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And let's talk about that user interface, shall we? It takes up more space than the sumo wrestler at an all-you-can-eat buffet without giving any real useful info. I've already mentioned the poor animations, but even the way these patrons dress makes me feel like I've opened up a boozer inside a Walmart. People wearing anything they could find, like they threw on the first thing from Goodwill and went for their weekly shop. And when you're cleaning glasses, oh Jesus, it looks tragic, like a spurt of polygons shooting up. It's a complete and utter shoddy mess, my friends. Let's talk about the sound, or lack thereof. The sound effects are absolute drivel. A little clink of the glass here and there, a few clicks of the mouse on the UI, and the sound of piss every time you use water. And don't get me started on the music. This is where things go from bad to worse. The music repeats itself on a loop that feels like it's about 10 seconds long. It's like being stuck in a bloody mental asylum, driving you to the brink of insanity with a constant repetition. I swear it's why the kitchen is designed that way, to prep you for the straitjacket. But lo and behold, there was a little glimmer of hope amidst this train wreck. The jukebox. I found this magical button called Turn On Radio, and suddenly Beyonce starts blaring out, saving us from the mind-numbing loop of misery. Now, I can't show you this magic because copyright and all that, but it's a lovely little feature to make this whole disaster somewhat bearable, as it's pulling in a real-life radio from somewhere in cyberspace. But of course, even with this little saviour, they managed to mess it up. The radio stream is high quality, sure, but why the bloody hell didn't they add some immersion to it? A simple effect to make it sound like a real radio in a bar. That would have done the trick. Soft and light tone, not blaring out like we're in a bloody nightclub. It's the missed details like this that just sum up what a mess this game is. You know, it pains me to say this, but Brewpub Simulator is an absolute disaster. It's beyond poor in every aspect. This supposed full release is nothing but a bug-infested nightmare that will drive you to the brink of madness. Days will be restarted more times than you care to count, and you'll find yourself cursing the gods for ever laying eyes on this mess. Graphically, it's a tragedy. Poor animations, endless clipping issues, and the lack of care and attention to detail make it feel like a half-assed attempt at a game. And don't even get me started on the sound. The music is like a broken record, and the sound effects are about as interesting as watching paint dry. Now, before you start calling me a hater, please know I'm the biggest fan of indie titles. Check out my reviews of Dave the Diver, Viewfinder or BattleBit Remastered to see how much praise I heap on a good indie game. But when something is as shoddy as Brewpub Simulator, I just gotta call it out like I see it. This game is like a never-ending hangover, and the only way to escape the misery is to have Shawn Michaels himself drown you in a keg full of Reggie's piss lager. Save yourself the headache and steer clear of this one, my friends. Love to you all. Reggie out.